Welcome to the Vetiver Vibes podcast. We're your hosts, Nikki, Rachel, and Rhonda, certified clinical aromatherapists coming to you from Ontario, Canada, and on the internet everywhere.
This episode is brought to you by Essentria, a leading online school for aromatherapy. Essentria is your go-to source for clinical aromatherapy certification programs that are recognized by NAHA and the Canadian Federation of Aromatherapists.
If you want to learn more about Aroma Massage course, check out their website, www.schoolofessentria.com. We're excited that you've given your time to be here with us, knowing you'll get the best essential oil scoop.
Welcome to this week's episode of Vetiver Vibes. I'm Nikki Fraser, here with Jennifer, and we are very excited to talk about the importance of associations and NAHA in particular. Jennifer Pressimone is the Central Florida Director and Vice President of the National Association of Holistic Aromatherapy. She has been a leading expert in clinical and psychological aromatherapy for over 20 years, teaching health and wellness professionals across the globe. She is a certified clinical aromatherapist, herbalist, educator, formulator, author, and founder of JennScents Aromaversity. Her passion is bringing awareness to holistic aromatherapy through knowledge and skill development and foster safe practice. Jennifer is a graduate of the University of Central Florida with a bachelor's degree in psychology and diplomate in Spiritual PhytoEssencing, as well as numerous holistic health certifications. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Nikki, for having me. I'm so excited to be here and talk about both of our favorite thing, NAHA.
Yes, and it is. It's, we were just talking before hitting the record button about how important associations are, and really that's going to be a big highlight of this. But before we dive into that, we always love to ask our guests the same question at the beginning, which is, what is your favorite oil?
Oh my gosh. I mean, they're all like my kids,
right?
So it's hard. How do you pick a favorite kid? They all have different personalities and we love them for different ways. If I had to pick one, it would be Roman chamomile, simply for the fact that it was the very first essential oil that I was introduced to. I was battling Crohn's, irritable bowel, and it changed my life. I mean, it really gave me the biggest relief. And we know chamomile is a caretaker. I'm a caretaker by nature. And so if I had to pick one, it would be Roman chamomile. But I do see all of my oils like people, they all have different personalities and they bring something different to the table. And that's the beauty of aromatherapy. When you combine them, their personalities, get unified and come to life. So
yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. That is great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it is hard. And it's so hard to pick. That's why sometimes I'm always like, it could be this moment. It could be last week. It could be like, it depends on the moment. It does, which is so great. All right, now to dive into NAHA. So how long have you been a board director for NAHA?
I have been involved with NAHA as a member since 2003 and became a board member, a part of some committees and board member in 2005 or 2006.
Okay.
And so I had attended one of their aromatherapy conferences that was in Boston, and, just really fell in love with the passion and the heart of the people, not only involved in NAHA, but just the people they were able to rally and build a community with. Everybody, we just had a common thread, we loved aromatherapy because we loved helping people, and it was a tool that we were able to use to help people while having fun and making a difference. And so, I've been involved for a long time.
Yes. And because they've been around for 50 some years.
They've been around since 1990. And so there was a school and they had, different people there through the London aromatherapy school at the time, Anne Berwick, and several other ladies. And, by the end of that class, they thought, wow, we really need an association, the power of education, and how many people in the 90s were not aware. I got introduced in aromatherapy in 2002. And I know when I go back and I look at my 2002 business plan, one of my goals was to make aromatherapy a household name, because even then it wasn't. And so to even think back to these trailblazing women in 1990 who had the thought of more people need education, more people need this awareness, because the quality wasn't always there. You needed to know, if you're going to do this, it needs to be quality. You need to know what you're doing, because there's a right way and there is a wrong way.
Absolutely.
And so, they began this in the 90s, and they formulated it, and Ann Berwick was the first president. And, they developed all their roles. It was a grassroots effort. They put, they divvied up the task. All right, you go do marketing, you go do advertising, you do the logo. And they just really formed the association. And then it has built from there. Jeannie Rose became the second president. And we have all of the lineage on the NAHA website, naha.org. You can click under history, the about section, and then history. And you can read that entire story. And Annette Davis, who was our president, she has been involved, for a very long time with secretaries. So a lot of, we do have great notes how the organization has evolved to really be the staple. And our platform has remained the same: education and awareness.
Yeah. And I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who's been part of it over the years, because an association is a lot of work. I've been part of another aromatherapy association, and it is a lot of work. It is voluntary.
It's volunteer.
And there's a lot that needs to be done. So on the part of us, we thank you for all of the work of spreading aromatherapy, the importance of, using it safely and properly and ethically and all of that, because it, there's a lot of work involved, and we appreciate everything that you guys do.
It's a lot of hours, blood, sweat, and tears behind the scenes to, make sure. We have a lot of people that reach out to us because we have been a common staple in the aromatherapy, not just, here in the US and in Canada and in North America, but across the world. That NAHA is associated with. If you do aromatherapy, that's NAHA. And I think a lot of people, there's misconception on what exactly we do. We don't police people, but our goal is to educate, because if you're educated, then you can make the right decision for yourself. Before you make any decisions, you do that. And so thank you for recognizing the hard work that we do, that you do, and really bringing this association to everybody. Yeah. We want everybody to feel comfortable using aromatherapy, know what you're putting on your body, know what you're doing. And if you don't, we have the resources, that's our goal, is to provide you with those resources of safety to know, what's safe for you, and, to really bring that awareness. But it's a love, it's a passion. It's not for everybody, but, we do want to continue growing as an industry and continue providing tools, because society's changing, our world is changing globally and locally. And so we have to continuously think about that. What is in the best interest of everybody? What information can we provide? What speakers can we bring in that's going to keep us moving forward?
And I love that. It is important to stay with the times, because, aromatherapy from 30 years ago has shifted to aromatherapy today. And it's important to stay with those times and continue moving forward. And it is when, people communicate as to, where can I get more information on this? Is it safe to use essential oils this way? This is where it's amazing that people can just go on your website and find recognized schools that you guys have approved to be, a level 1, level 2, or level 3 aromatherapist, which each have different hours of education behind these certifications. So maybe I'll use this as a segue of, so what are the different not benefits, but the different memberships, and then maybe the benefits of each membership that NAHA does provide?
So we have several different memberships that really are going to accommodate wherever you are in your journey. So it starts with a friend of aromatherapy, you love aromatherapy, you want to take advantage of some of, the offerings that we have of being a NAHA member. But you're not a professional, you're not really sure where you're going to go on this journey, or you've just begun your studies and not quite earned a certification, which are some of the next levels. But it's a great place to start. It's $50 to join. And if you attend one of our webinars, there it is. I mean, there's your membership. So we've made it very simple. And so you don't even have to think about it. But being a member with us, whatever level you're at, you have access to our monthly webinars, and we bring in some of the top aromatherapists, people that have been practicing, maybe have a specialty niche, but also that are doing research in the field or doing something to advance. Whether that's through philanthropic work or, through a business work. And so conservationist, we're bringing in information that we feel you need, information that we love, and being on the board and being involved in the industry for 20 years, I need to continuously learn. I don't know everything. I don't like using the word expert, because are we ever?
Thank you. I grudge using that. I'm not a person who will ever call myself an expert in anything or a master in anything, because I'm a lifelong student, and there's always things that I am learning, either from someone else, from my own students, from all over the place. There's always more to absorb and learn. So I have the exact same view of that, we're always evolving and growing.
We are. And we need to. And I love learning from my colleagues, because certainly I have 20 years of experience, but that doesn't mean that I've been involved in every single experience or situation. I mean, I've dabbled here and there, but there's some areas that are just not my lane, or my specialty. And I love bringing where we can collaborate. One of the big things about NAHA is not just do you have your membership, but we're developing this community. You're a community amongst like-minded people, holistically minded, or, like I said, you're in the beginning of your journey. You might be in the middle of your journey. You might be an advanced practitioner. But we want to have that. And so that's the basis of the webinars that we have. We produce a journal every quarter of the most amazing.
They are packed full of information.
It is. And, I'm reading some going, whoa, that might be a little over my head, even for me. And I'm like, I just let it go. But the information that I get inspires me. It inspires me to take care of myself, to my family, my clients, my students. It's inspiration to know, wow, now I understand why something is happening.
Yes.
You can fix anything as long as you know why. And so this is how we continue. So it's another education tool in print, pretty pictures, and a lot of tools. And so you have that. We have our emails that go out monthly with keeping you abreast of what's going on in the industry and with our schools. And then we have, as a member, you get your Explore Aromatherapy booklet. So it's a quick little guide that you have in what is, essential oils and aromatherapy. So you have these tools that you will have access to. I'm going down my list here. There's special e-booklets that you'll have access to. So as a friend, you have a lot of tools. Now, as you start advancing and become a student and you graduate with your level 1, which is a holistic aromatherapy student, you've put in the hours, you've put in the work, you've taken your anatomy and physiology 1, and you have some education under your belt from one of our approved schools, then you can sign up to be a level 1 certified aromatherapist. Now that membership does get you some extra benefits in addition to the friend. You can start using the level 1 logo to promote that you are level 1 certified and NAHA recognized for that. You can now advertise in our Find an Aromatherapist. And we're really proud of that because so many people are struggling to find, okay, if I'm supposed to work with somebody, how do I find them? We
Right.
have that on our website. And so you can go find an aromatherapist. And so now you have the option of joining as a level 1, put yourself in there. So when people go to find somebody in your area, you will pop up. We have other networking opportunities. You have access to some insurance discounts, some other association memberships, like the Association for Massage and Bodywork Professionals. And then we do have level 2, level 3 certifications, which are going to be based on your training. And it's nice to be able to show people, I have put in the education, I've done things right. I now know what I'm doing. I've gone through a very strict education, program that I'm able to be able to help you. I didn't just go to one seminar. I didn't go to just one class and pick recipes off, social media. I know the ins and the outs. I know how to cross-reference and really look at doing things safely, and building upon that. So with each level, it builds, and then you're able to use that distinguishment, that accreditation. And then we do have a business membership. We do have, for people that are just doing products, that are not in practitioner, but they actually have an aromatherapy business. We have a membership for them. And then we do have donor and grand donors. So we do have some people who love aromatherapy. They're not a business, they're not a practitioner, but they want to see, they've received benefit. I have a lot of, corporate CEOs that I work with that are like, oh my gosh, I want to make sure that you can continue providing this education. And so we do have donor and grand donor memberships as well.
Amazing. And I love the fact that you guys do have the different levels. Just the friend portion of it, because I know a lot of people who don't want to be certified. We get a lot of emails of like, hey, I don't want to be certified. I just want a little additional information. And this is where people who are using essential oils with themselves and don't want to be certified can just learn the information through, like you said. And not only do you guys have those webinars, but you get access to all the previous ones too, which, that's a vault of information right there. Because it goes back years. I remember when I joined years ago, I was listening to some of the first ones and I was like, oh, that were still out. I know, because I was just like, oh, this topic is kind of neat. What is this? And I was like, oh, this one's kind of neat. And it's great to be able to go back into the past and see what else you guys have done. But yeah, absolutely. I love the fact that you can really be any level. And when you're talking about the level 1, we have a lot of people who, when you said for the massage, that's perfect for anyone who already has, I find, an already established practice and might just be using 2-3 essential oils that they're comfortable with, their knowledge about, that they've learned with, and using that in their practice. And that's it sometimes. And that's where I find like massage, or I know it's like some osteos who use it that way, or chiropractors who use it that way, or yoga instructors, right? Like people who
integration is huge right now.
It is. And it's just, they don't want to do, full consults or anything like that, but they just want to use their small handful of essential oils in their practice. And this gives them that accreditation to that information and the proper education to know that they're using them safely with their clients.
Right.
So amazing. I know our main course, our clinical course, is our level 3. We have a level 1 and a level 3 with you recognized with NAHA. And, we love the fact that we have a level 3 with you, because we're like, this is the highest standard. If you want to go this route, or if you want to do the level 1, we have that option also. And that's what we get a lot of people who share, that they like the options that you guys do offer, because they don't feel they have to commit right from day 1 necessarily to the level 3.
And everybody's at a different place in their journey. Certainly when I started and I learned what an essential oils, I didn't even know there was such a thing until it was introduced to me at a time when I needed it. And if you would have asked me then, I was in the banking and insurance industry, if you would have said, hey, in 20 years, you're going to be involved in all this aromatherapy, I would have said, I don't think so. You just never know where your journey is going to take you. And so we just want to provide you with tools so that you're prepared when opportunities and possibilities present themselves, right? Preparation is the key to everything. And so if we can be that place, and maybe you don't need to know everything right now, at least you know in the future, if you are start growing and advancing and want to become a student and want to take that a step further, you know that you do have the option to go back and re-listen to the webinars and revisit the journals and pick up the information when you need it.
Yeah. And I find part of that too with joining at whatever level you want is that you then have your code of ethics that you're following. You're accredited. There's so much behind that accreditation that the association is backing you with.
It is. I mean, aromatherapy, like I was saying earlier, has grown so much. And, it's very different. I know when I first started 20 years ago, people thought, what are you doing? You're like mixing oils and potions. And, I had priests coming and pastors coming to pray for me because they didn't understand. I'm like, no, this is God's medicine. It's plants. Because they didn't understand. And it gave this platform, to educate people for that. And so, having an accreditation means that, okay, we now have the tools, the resources, the education, the support, the community that you are a part of, that if you don't know everything, you're surrounded by people who can fill in those blanks. And that's why being affiliated with such an organization like NAHA is so important, that I take pride in that, because it does mean, that I am committed to this industry. I am committed to awareness, proper awareness, true aromatherapy practices and education and safety and a code of ethics. And it's sad that we even have to bring up the word ethics, but unfortunately there are some people, and I don't think people intentionally mean to be unethical. I don't think they know the difference. I don't think they realize that they're teetering on that border. Yeah. And so when you get this education, and like you, I have students too that say, I had no idea. I didn't know this was such a thing. I didn't even think that. I wasn't even thinking in that direction. I just thought I could use it for everything and do it this way. And so broadening your mind and broadening, your deeper understanding, we go back and we look at ancient philosophies and practices. Now we have science to back that up. So wherever you are, if you want to be on the philosophical side, if you want to be on the science side, or somewhere in between, that is what we're providing with the approved schools that we have.
Absolutely. And so now what would make, and I know you've already listed a whole bunch of things of what makes NAHA stand out, but can you think of other things that would make NAHA stand out and compared to other associations? Because there are several around the world, and sometimes it's just easier, like if you're located, as much as NAHA is international, sometimes it is nice to be part of the association of your own country, but NAHA is international, which is really, really nice. When you look at schools, you can find schools all over the world. So what would help NAHA stand out?
I mean, the thing about NAHA is, for me, because I'm on the backside, I get to see a different side of NAHA than most people. And the first feeling that comes to mind is heart. Now, I love all of the other associations because we're all on the same team. It's not like we want to be pinned up against each other. We're all on the same team. We all have the same goal of providing education, and we want to do it in a certain way. I'm sure we all have different thoughts about things, but at the end of the day, we can all agree that number one, we love aromatherapy. Number two, we just want to see people get the right education, and we want to continue advancing this with people. What we try to do as NAHA is continue pushing that edge. I think where we are today, and especially going through the significance of the pandemic, and being forced at home and being forced online, I think we had to evolve very quickly. We had to be on top of things, and we had to anticipate in a huge uncertainty. And that's with any association. We're always thinking, okay, we don't know the future. of where things are. So we want to make sure that we are providing, research. We are being involved in research. We make sure that we as an association are donating to preserve and conserve, sustainable efforts. And, really, we have no aromatherapy if we have no trees and plants.
Right?
So
They
I
need to
think
be around.
conservation, I know. And so really making sure that we're supporting people on the front lines of aromatherapy, that is going to always be a common thread with us. We lead with heart. We look at, okay, for this past conference, we have our conference, our World of Aromatherapy conference coming up later on this year that I know that you're a sponsor of.
Yes.
I know, exciting. Thank you.
So excited for it.
I can't even remember the number of applicants we had. And I don't think anybody will ever realize the blood, sweat, and tears we had. I mean, we put in, a lot of hours. I would bet to say over 100+ hours trying to decipher, who, because it's all good. And so we found a way that we can support everybody, whether it was at the conference or coming back as a webinar speaker, because we do want to be able to give you the information that you need wherever you are in your journey, but we need to make sure that we are pushing that a little bit more. So you're going to see doctors, you're going to see nurses, you're going to see researchers, clinical practitioners, really people who are living and doing and practicing true aromatherapy practices every single day, coming and sharing so selflessly their information, things that they've learned, either about the plants. We have, tons about plants all over the world. We have, topics about health related stuff. And we do have business, because I think a lot of people are now in this place of, I need to make, everybody's looking for a side hustle. And whether their aromatherapy is a side hustle or a main hustle, we do need business, because we're a business. Our individual selves, we're a business.
Yes.
But take that also to another level. So we always we try to be everything to everybody. And we know that's just not going to happen, but we try to do that first and foremost from a place of heart and compassion and love and understanding. And okay, what can we bring to the table that's going to help you wherever you are, and that's going to help push you a little bit out of your comfort zone into where you need to be, your passion, your purpose. And so I don't know if that necessarily answers the question fully
No, it does. And the one thing to circle back to is when you were talking about how you guys give back to the conservation and the research, and I love subtle aromatherapy. Don't get me wrong. It is an amazing way to use the essential oils, but so many people, including myself, also love the science behind it. So seeing the science behind it, which there isn't enough. There's a lot of research out there. People don't realize how much research is out there, but there can never be too much, because there's always more of non-holistic research being done, because it's easier to get those
some
funding.
Good research, but there's some that's not good. And so what we try to do is, like you said, we bridge that, our ancient practices and things that we've learned, philosophically, and through actual practice. But there has to be maybe some backing of that. And I think where we are as a world and as a society, we trust, but we like to verify.
Exactly.
That's exactly what these are doing. And some of the research studies we can read, I read them going, okay, well, what brand did you use? Was it non-GMO? Was it a constituent? Was it a whole plant? Did you verify both? There's a lot of misinformation. And how do you know that as a lay user of aromatherapy?
And that's where I wish there was more when the research was done, especially I find some of the, going back even 10 years, even
Mhm.
today, still the research, it doesn't even have the botanical name of what was used. It's like, you
Right.
need to have like, you don't
What
even know
species
if
did
it
you
was
use?
like, especially when I love it when I just see like eucalyptus was used. Really? Which
And
eucalyptus?
was it a
There.
unicrop or was it a multi-crop? Did you take from
Exactly.
one crop and what time of year? Was it picked right? I mean, there's all this harvesting,
Oh,
or
it
did you
is.
grab pieces and parts?
Like, I know.
Yeah.
And that's the part I'm like, I love that there was research done. So it's a good
Yes.
starting point.
It's a
Now we
start.
just need to improve
Qualify that.
on it. Exactly. Yeah.
And we did
Mm.
recently participate. Participated in some research on lavender because there was some misinformation
Mm.
produced about lavender.
I
And
love
so
that
we
one.
just recently joined efforts with Franklin, Institute and research to do
Yes.
a study on clary sage. And so we are going to be presenting those findings. Jesse, who actually did, Dr. Jesse, is going to be coming and giving us that research. So,
When is she going to be doing that? Because I was excited when she came out with the lavender one.
yeah.
When I was listening to that one, I was like, yay, thank you for putting all of this in,
Yeah.
I want to say black and white, but not black and white, but pretty close to.
And
Um,
you know that the study is done right, and she has
yes,
crossed all of the T's and dotted all of the I's.
exactly.
And it's a good example of what a good study looks like, and
Yes.
it's a great example for others to follow. So yeah, she will be presenting that at the World of Aromatherapy conference this year.
For the
So
clary
whether
sage,
you join live or you join online, you're going to be able to get that.
I'm so excited because I work with a lot of pregnant people, and clary sage is always the biggest one. Myself, like my last few pregnancies, is when I was using essential oils through it. I didn't know them as much with my first versus I started to use them during my second. And then
Yeah.
I've had to, I want to say holistic babies because I was a holistic practitioner through those pregnancies completely. So
Yeah.
those were I'll say holistic babies that I was much more informed about. And clary sage always comes up. And so I'm very
Yeah.
excited for this conference to hear that then.
And we
That
have
just made
some
my day.
past, as we talked about earlier in the archives, the webinar archives, there was a most amazing woman that I met at the NAHA World Conference in Boston years ago. I believe maybe it was 2006-ish, but Vivian Looney, and we recently lost her. But she was a huge advocate. I mean, she was a medical doctor and she has so many degrees. But she was the first to introduce, I think, a truer understanding as a practitioner, because she's watching it in hormone testing and in blood testing, and gave real information on the power of clary sage. And no, it doesn't do some things people claim, but she gave some good talks. And so back in our archives, I think she did a 3-part series about women's health. And she talks a lot about the power of using particular flower oils in pregnancy and other things. So that's an example of the type of information. And one of the things we were able to do to honor her was to contribute and donate. One of the best things you can do when somebody passes is to plant something in their honor. And so we teamed up with the Aromat Institute, Kelly Ablard, and we donated money for her, and she was able to plant 50 rosewood trees, which we know rosewood is on
On the red
yes, so that's on
list.
the
So
endangered list. And so these are ways that we want to be able to give back. We want to honor our trailblazers. We want to honor the people who allow us to be where we are, but we can also do that by paying their legacy forward, and being a part of other organizations. But yeah, you're going to want to go. I'm sure you already did, but for your listeners too, going back and another reason to become a NAHA member is you have all that information.
We are trying to spread the word about the safe use of aromatherapy to as many people as possible. It only takes 5 seconds to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcast or wherever you're listening to us, and it helps us become more visible. We appreciate your support.
No, that's great. Now, to jump over to maybe a bit more of a touchy subject.
Okay.
But do you think aromatherapy will be ever regulated? And I know people have very strong opinions on this
They
on
do.
both sides of the
Yes.
coin.
Yeah.
So where does NAHA kind of stand on the regulation of aromatherapy?
It, like you said, it's a touchy subject. I think there's really high, everybody's on either opposite ends of the spectrum for that. I feel, and where NAHA's position is we really are more of a profession driven industry. And when you are a profession driven industry, that is the importance of having associations like this that have ethics and that have strict education guidelines. And we promote that and we ask people to follow that, because our members, we want to make sure our members are comfortable that, okay, I'm choosing this association because they do follow strict ethics and education. I think if we were a more government related entity, I think you're going to see regulation in that aspect. But that would mean you would lose certain rights and your voice to choose and your options to choose holistic measures, because that now is going to be dictated by a government entity. And so who sets up a regulatory board? Who's on it? Of course, you would have to have third party. There's a lot of moving parts that would be a part of that. And then you would have to position that. And then you would also have to ensure that it would be able to continue, that it would have a lifespan beyond a current situation. So I personally, and I know that that's the voice of NAHA, is that I don't see regulation happening for that reason, because we are more professional and we're not more of a government regulated. And if we were, you would have to give up certain rights for that. And so we do have the option now that we can self-regulate, and that's why we promote, we want you to be educated so you can make the best decision. You can feel comfortable about where your ethics are. You can feel comfortable about your practices. You can feel comfortable about what you choose. I can't make a decision for you, but I can educate you the best of my ability and the best of NAHA's ability to self-regulate, to make sure you're doing the right things and that you're not choosing those that aren't. I think our voice is going to speak louder than legislation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No. And I think you share that very well. And I'm 100% in agreement with you, because it is, we would lose a lot. I personally believe that we would lose a lot if it becomes a governing body where to
There's always a trade-off, and you just have to decide what is that trade-off, and is that trade-off something we're willing to give up? And there would obviously need, and I know other organizations have brought it up, and I've even been at other conferences on a panel speaking about it too. I mean, there's of course a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of work that needs to happen to continue evolving that. And it doesn't mean we say no way, right now. But it's like anything, you can't just do something overnight. There needs to be a lot of thought behind it. There needs to be a lot of stuff. And there is that trade-off. For me, I appreciate and enjoy my right to choose. Same. And for me, I wouldn't be here. 20 years ago, I followed the medical. I did everything I should. I followed somebody else's rules, and I was sent to hospice, and I wasn't supposed to be here 20 years later. I found herbs and I found aromatherapy, and I was able to make decisions to introduce things into my life. Of course, I had to be educated, probably on a faster track than some others. But for me, it was life-changing and life-saving. And I want other people to have that option.
Yeah. And I love that. And it's really empowering people to take it in their own hands and getting the education to give, empower themselves for that. And that's what I really do like, which is really
empowerment. It comes down to self-empowerment. There's nothing greater or grander than that.
Exactly. Now I know we've mentioned the conference that I absolutely love. And like you mentioned, we are Essentria as a proud sponsor of the conference in October, which can be joined live or online.
Yes, we have a hybrid option this year. So you can join, you can come live And then we do have a set of pre-recordings that you'll get online. And then for all of the live recordings, we will be putting those into the bank, into the online bank over, time after the conference. So you'll have access to all that.
Yay. So no, we unfortunately won't be able to make it live just with our family schedules. In October, it's just not going to be possible to fly out there. However, we are very excited to watch it online at least and be able to participate that way.
Yes.
And I remember, and I know, to circle back, you had said about the applications. I remember seeing you guys post something about having I think it was over 100, 150 applications, something like that. And I remember seeing that, because how many speakers are there again? I don't remember.
I believe I actually got all my numbers here. I believe we ended up with 33 speakers at the conference. And
that would have been so hard to just narrow down.
Yeah, because like you said, we are a volunteer board, and each of us, we have our own business. But we also have our own families that we have to take care of. Some of us, like myself, take care of, of our parents. And we have others that there's a lot of trials and tribulations behind the scenes. But we were on call after call, sometimes till, 2 a.m. in the morning, talking through. And we considered everything. And our goal is to bring you information that you've not heard before, information that's not been presented before. That's one of our key points, is that, we want to make sure that the information you're getting, is fresh, it's new, and it's providing you a different perspective and tools and resources from speakers on the front lines, that's just brand new information that hasn't been shown anywhere. And so we were able to use that as a criteria. It was very hard. We did put together, because we do have a lot of international speakers, so we were able to put it together, this international group that are showing you plants around the world and how they're doing aromatherapy around the world.
Amazing.
Yes. It's amazing from, the majority of our continents is covered. And then we have a lot of doctors, like I said, coming and showing us how they are using aromatherapy with patients, because that's showing you integratively what's happening. Because if I'm going to choose holistic, there's a time and a place for medical. I'm not
absolutely,
but we need to use them together. And I love that there are more of our medical associations or our medical doctors are looking at essential oils are here, aromatherapy is here, herbs are here. Let's figure out how can we safely integrate them. And so you're going to be getting that information, because even if you're as a consumer or you're, just starting with aromatherapy, it empowers you with knowledge that you can take back with your doctor, or that you can use your own decisions too. There was a lot of criteria we did. And so what we decided too is for those that weren't able to get on the list to come to the conference, that we still want them sharing their information. And so we've offered through webinars and through our podcast opportunities, we're still going to be bringing you their information just through different channels.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I also want to make sure that anyone who's listening knows that you don't have to be a NAHA member to go or to view them online. Like, this is open to absolutely anybody who's interested in aromatherapy.
Right. There's really, a benefit really nice. If you are a member. And just to show you, there's a $50 difference. So if you're going to pay the non-member fee, you might as well become a friend of aromatherapy and get the added benefit of the extra webinars. So those speakers that aren't at the conference, you're still going to get their information. So we made it that way just so it's to your benefit. It's all about your benefit of what can we do for everybody who wants to be a part of it. So you don't have to be a member. There's benefits to doing that. But we have one ticket price. And so whether you come live or you come online, because you're going to have access to all of it anyway. You'll just miss the live marketing component.
And the interaction. I would love to be there to actually talk and chat and
the
interact with people,
feeling,
you
the
just,
feeling you get. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
feed off the energy in the room, and just to be
You
around so
do.
many like-minded people who all have the same passion in aromatherapy is
Yeah.
really, really amazing. So one day I will be there live.
Yes, I know. We have to get you there live.
Yes.
I have been fortunate, and this year again, I'll be MC of the event. And I tell you, just the feeling you get from everybody in the room, and just the heart.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully that's going to translate on screen as well, that you're just going to feel a part of, just this huge community that wants to continue helping people, want you to be able to help yourself and pay that forward, however that is.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we're going to miss you, but we're happy that you're going to be online, and definitely you have to come to hopefully our next one or the one after
Yes.
that, because we
Yes.
do plan these every other year. We
Yeah.
had, with COVID, we had to skip a year, obviously. And this year we did change venues. We're still in Salt Lake City at the Sheridan. And so they're able to accommodate more people. We did have to cap the last one. We were completely booked at our last conference at 500.
Amazing.
And so we have the opportunity to accept more people. Whether you want to come for one day or you want to come for, the whole conference, we have those options. And then we do have meal ticket options too, because, we know some people have special food needs. They can go out and get their own food wherever they want, because the other thing about where we are is you're so locally, centralized to restaurants, and
Yes. There's a lot around there.
so much to offer. And so we wanted a place where you could walk around, you could get there. And, the venues we've had at before, there's been a little trouble with maybe transportation. And so this is very simple for that
Nice.
as well. But, we have meal tickets. If you are like, no, just feed me, we'll do that too.
Perfect. And so now as we go to wrap up, if someone's not part of NAHA, we strongly encourage you to join at whatever level membership you feel inclined to. If you aren't, because if someone's already a certified aromatherapist, but they didn't go through one of your schools though, one of your approved credited schools, would they still be able to join at a certain level, or would they only be able to join as a friend? Because we get that question often where people will get trained necessarily somewhere else, and they're like, well, can we join different associations or different schools or different things? So how would that work I just thought of that, of anyone who was trained by a non-NAHA school?
Well, of course, we want you trained by a NAHA approved school, because we have, they have gone through strict guidelines that we know, okay, the curriculum that you receive does follow our guidelines. If you've gone through a non-NAHA school, we certainly would have you submit your documentation, submit your certificates, there's going to be additional required information, your curriculum and so forth. It's just going to take, because we look at those, we have somebody in our office that approves those. And it does take time to go through that. And so the process is just going to be a little bit longer. We're going to ask and require additional information. What you can always do is join as a friend during that process, and then you can always upgrade. Because the other thing is, once you become a member, you get access to our members only portion of the website, where you get all of these additional tools.
Yes.
And as level 1, level 2, level 3, in a business, you have advertising opportunities, you have other outreach and networking opportunities. So when you go in and you register, you just go to naha.org. There's a link on there that says become a member. You click on that. And then if we do require additional information, you're going to get an email. We're going to communicate with you through email of this is what we need. And getting that to us as quickly as possible. We're going to take our time to decipher that. And if it's through a non-NAHA, it's just going to take longer.
Yeah. So easier to join taking a NAHA. I know, we are registered with NAHA, take a NAHA school for the easiest route possible, but email in if you haven't, just to inquire more then. And if someone is already part of NAHA, are you guys ever looking for volunteers, wanting to volunteer or be on the board or anything like that for any of our listeners who
Absolutely.
might be?
Absolutely. Right now, we have 49 directors across the world. So we have some in the majority of the states, and in, like I said, in other countries too. So you can always go to the website, and we have a volunteers tab, and you can click on there, providing blog material, doing journal articles, providing recipes for that. We do have at times, usually our directors, our state directors are a part of the volunteer committee for the conferences, because we want to make sure that we're promoting at NAHA that we have educated committee members. But we also do have 6 other committees that are volunteer basis. Usually our directors, one of our directors is head of that organization or that committee. And then we have other people, other members that volunteer. So you do have volunteer to jump in and get your feet wet. And I know I volunteered when I became a member for NAHA. I wanted more. I wanted to become a part of something bigger. I wanted to feel deeper in the community, and I wanted to advance myself personally and professionally. So I volunteered at the conference in Boston and got my feet wet and learned the ropes, and then was able to, move forward from there and have that background. So I think it's important locally to be involved, get involved with your state director, your country director, but also and other opportunities that we have. So you just go to the volunteer link and click on that, and then you'll see some ways that you can participate and be involved with NAHA.
Amazing. And if anyone wanted to get in touch with NAHA, would the easiest way then be through email?
Yeah, we have a contact us.
Okay.
And that goes right in. We have it all going to one office, and we have somebody who manages that, because like I said, we all, have a lot going on, and we want to make sure that your emails are answered right away. So we do have our marketing manager dedicated solely. We do have a couple of staff members at NAHA, that are able to handle our marketing side of things, that are putting the conference technical stuff together, that manage the technicalities on the website, in our social media and so forth. But that goes to one office, and she manages everything. And then she gets it to, if she doesn't know the answer, she'll get it to one of us and make sure that she knows what's going on with all of our schedules. And so she knows who to send it to get the answer that you're going to need.
Amazing. Yeah. And every time we've emailed the office for everything, it's always a quick prompt reply, and it's always been a great experience in emailing in. So absolutely, if there's any, and we'll have all that information too in the show notes. Because you guys are also on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes, we also have our YouTube channel. So the other thing that you have access to, even if you're not a member, you can go to our YouTube channel for the National Association of Holistic Aromatherapy and watch. We have some of our way older webinars and teleseminars that we've done in the past. So before webinars was a thing, we were doing teleseminars on the phone. And so we have a lot of those recordings that we have put out there, again, because our platform is education and awareness. And so we do have that on the YouTube channel. But yeah, we're on LinkedIn. We're on all of the social media channels. And so Michaela handles all of that very well for us.
Amazing. And like I said, we'll have all that in the show notes so people can easily find you wherever they want to. Yeah, absolutely. And before we sign off, any last parting words from you?
Oh, wow. I mean, I appreciate the opportunity with you, Nikki, to share about NAHA and the National Association of Aromatherapy, and really just to challenge people to understand what they're doing, understand the beauty and the therapy that you can get from using aromatherapy properly.
Yes.
And using that through education. Knowledge is power. And, there are times we can get away with being ignorant, meaning, we can do stuff without knowing what we're doing. I think some of the best mistakes happen that way.
Yes.
But we don't want mistakes when it comes to our health, of helping ourselves and other people. And so I am privileged to be here and hopefully inspire you, your listeners, and encourage you and empower you to really take control of your knowledge. That's something you have that nobody can ever take away from you. And so when you make decisions through proper education, it's not so hard, it's less stressful, and there's, I would say, always a better outcome.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for joining us on this week's podcast. It has been so amazing just to chat about NAHA. We've been a proud school, registered or recognized, I would say registered, recognized with NAHA
Yes.
since we launched. And we are very much excited for the conference coming up later this year. And again, thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Vetiver Vibes. I'm Nikki Fraser here with Jennifer, and we will see you next time. Have an amazing day, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
This episode was brought to you by Essentria, a leading online aromatherapy school. You can join the free Introduction to Essential Oil course at www.schoolofessentria.com.
If you love this episode or you got a lot of value out of it, please make sure you share it with someone in your community who you think will enjoy it too. If you haven't already subscribed or reviewed the show yet, please go over to your preferred streaming platform and hit subscribe, then leave a review. This is the best way to help support us, and we appreciate it. Email us with a screenshot of your review, and you will be entered into our monthly draw for a free mini course.
This podcast is for information purposes only. We are certified clinical aromatherapists and holistic health professionals. If you have a medication concern, please refer to your health team. Everyone's health is unique to themselves, so the topics and suggestions stated may or may not apply to you directly.